Thank you.
All right, in the meantime here, we do have former President Joe Biden just taking the podium there in Chicago at the National Bar Association's gala tonight. Let's listen.
Especially James Carter. Thanks, James. Thanks. And, Dominique Calhoun, and all of the other past presidents, including my friend Ben Crump, thank you for doing all you do. You've always been there for me, Ben. And thank you for honoring me with this award. It's a big deal. You're the reason that you got me started, not a joke. I've been doing this and I've been elected office for 52 years now. I know I don't look like I'm 40, but I'm doing it for 52 years. And Mayor Brandon Johnson, thank you for the welcome back to the city. I've been here many times. It's great to be here tonight with so many friends. In 1929, a few short years after the National Bar Association was founded, one of its members, Lewis L. Redding, became the first black lawyer admitted to the bar in my home state of Delaware. He also became a personal friend of mine and a truly influential mentor. He cared deeply about the people of his community. Redding represented plaintiffs in two key Delaware cases that challenged the separate but equal doctrine of Delaware public schools. These cases later joined with others, become Brown versus the board. And Redding worked on the legal team with Thurgood Marshall to win the landmark Supreme Court cases, leading to the desegregation of American public schools. And so, as president, it was truly an honor to invite the family of the late Lewis L. Redding to the White House and award him posthumously the President's Citizens Medal. Folks, Brown versus the Board of Education was fundamentally a case about who we are as a nation. We're the only country in the world founded on an idea. Every other country is based on geography, religion, ethnicity, but we're based on an idea, a sacred proposition rooted in Scripture and enshrined in our Declaration of Independence, carved into our hearts. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal and deserve to be treated equally throughout their lives. Our Constitution has helped ensure that while we never fully lived up to that idea, we've never walked away from it either. Our Constitution guarantees a set of basic rights to every single American and sets up institutions to safeguard those rights. Next year, we'll celebrate 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. But all that soaring rhetoric are just words on pages if we, the people, don't uphold them. The lawyers and judges, all of you in this room, are the first and the last line of defense doing just that. I mean it. An informed and engaged bar willing to fight for and take risks to protect our basic rights. A bench prepared to recognize those rights and rule consistent with the Constitution. Our courts are meant to be a valid check on the excesses of other branches of government, especially when Congress and our executive overreach and run afoul of our constitutional and institutional safeguards, as they are doing now. You know, we're here marking 100 years since the National Bar Association was founded to support black lawyers, men and women who were excluded from all professional organizations because of the color of their skin, which was flat out unadulterated racism. Much of it has changed since then, thanks to the work of the National Bar Association, and so many of you have fought to make this country live up to its highest ideals because you believe, like we do, in a simple truth, that the soul of the nation is worth fighting for. And the soul defines who we are. I believe that it is as true today as it was in 1925. But not since those tumultuous days in the 1960s has this fight been so existential to who we are as a nation, with marginalized groups so dramatically under attack. As a young man, long before I understood the civil rights movement in a political context, I understood it in a human context because of the friendships I made in the black community, being the only employee in the projects, my home city of Wilmington, Delaware. I made friends who became like family. As I got older and more engaged, every Sunday I'd go to 7:30 Mass in my own church, and then I'd go to 10 a.m. Mass, the church service at the AME church across town. In time, I left for law school. When I came back to Wilmington to start my career working for a prestigious law firm. That was June of 1968. And as you all remember, Dr. King was assassinated on April 4th of that same year. Riots erupted in Wilmington, Delaware, my state was segregated by law. Riots erupted, causing significant parts of our city to be literally burned to the ground. The governor kept Wilmington under National Guard occupation for 10 long months. The National Guard was on, and I mean this, if I remember, on every damn corner with drawn bayonet, on every city corner. And historically, it was the longest military operation of any U.S. city since the Civil War. Again, in my hometown, Wilmington, Delaware. When all this was happening, I didn't just see the hurt, I felt the pain because of my close friendships in the community. Like many of you in this room, it caused me to get even more involved in the fight of civil rights and basic democracy. So I decided to leave the prestigious law firm I'd been hired by. I walked across the town square to become a public defender. I quit my job. And I represented mostly black clients in the east side of Wilmington. In 1970, I was convinced to run for the county council because no Democrat had ever won that seat. Unfortunately, I won. My sister ran my campaign. And the Republicans saw something I didn't see. I was elected in 70 for a 4-year term, and they reapportioned me to a 2-year term. And since they couldn't find anybody to run for Senate, they asked me to. And I ran for the United States Senate in 72. And I championed legislation to protect civil rights and support marginalized communities. I was then proud to serve as vice president to our first black president, Barack Obama. And I was proud to ask Kamala Harris to run with me, be the first black woman to serve as vice president of the United States. It was important. As president, I made the cause of civil rights and equality the foundation of everything I did. For example, I promised to have an administration that looked like America and appoint a bench that looked like America. And I kept my promise. I appointed the most demographically diverse slate of judges ever in the history of the United States of America. On top of that list, one of the brightest lawyers I've ever met, Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman on the United States Supreme Court. Justice Jackson, as you witnessed earlier this week, has proven herself to have the wisdom and the character that I saw under her when I nominated her. I appointed 13 black women to the courts of appeals of the United States federal courts. More than every other president in American history combined. And there are other historic firsts as well for Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, Muslim Americans. And by the way, I didn't just appoint Ivy League judges. I appointed many HBCU graduates. How many of you in this room went to the greatest HBCU in America? Delaware State, right? They got me started, man. Cedric keeps giving me the honor of being called a Morehouse man. I'm a Delaware State man. Look, my administration understood the importance of HBCUs. That's why, as president, I invested more money in HBCUs than all other presidents in American history combined. It matters. And I appointed a record number of judges with backgrounds and experience that have long been overlooked by the federal judiciary, like public defenders, lawyers representing labor unions, and the rights of immigrants. And by the way, I was the first president to give the National Bar Association a seat at the table in proposing candidates to the federal bench. So a lot of the names came from you guys. I mean it. Oh, I'm serious. I needed you. I still need you. So thanks, everyone. No matter who these men and women were, or where they came from, I'm sure that all my appointments are committed to the rule of law and are highly qualified. Because I know then what I know now. Judges matter. Courts matter. The law matters. And the Constitution matters. I think a lot of Americans are starting to realize that under the pressure we're under now with this guy we have as president. Oh, get ready, folks. This is just starting. I'm proud I've appointed judges doing their best to be independent, fair, impartial, respecting the rule of law, and upholding the Constitution. I wish I could say the same for the executive branch, who seems doing its best to dismantle the Constitution. Oh, I'm being deadly earnest, man. Which seems to be what's going on. You know, and they're doing it all too often with the help of a Congress that's just sitting in the sidelines and enabled by the highest court in the nation. The rulings they've made, my God. Folks, in our lives, the life of our nation, there are moments so stark that they divide all that came before from everything that followed. Moments that force us to confront hard truths about ourselves, our institutions, and democracy itself. We are, in my view, at such a moment in American history. Amen. Reflected in every cruel executive outreach, every rollback of basic freedoms, every erosion of long-standing established precedent. We see in the laws, the law firms bowing to pressure, bending to bullies, instead of staying rooted in justice and the law, including some of the largest newspapers in America. We see the apparent glee some of our politicians express as while watching immigrants who are in this country legally, torn from the arms of their family, dragged away in handcuffs from the only home they've ever known. My friends, we need to face the hard truth of this administration. It has been to ease all the gains we've made in my administration, to erase history rather than make it, to erase fairness, equality, to erase justice itself. And that's not hyperbole, that's a fact. Look, folks, we can't sugarcoat this. These are dark days, but you're all here for the same reason. I left that prestigious law firm in the public defender's office to go to the defender's office years ago. It's because our future is literally on the line. We must be unapologetic of fighting for the future. To paraphrase Frederick Douglass, there is no progress without struggle. And I would add, there is no progress without courage. None. The height of the civil rights movement, when Dr. King and Rosa Parks and John Lewis and other giants in our history needed a lawyer for their fight for freedom. They called on a guy named Fred Gray, who's here tonight. Fred, I don't know where you are, but stand up, man. Fred was one of the most important civil rights lawyers in our history. Fred's legal brilliance desegregated schools, secured the right to vote for so many. I was honored to invite Fred to the White House and bestow on him the nation's highest honor, the President's Medal of Freedom. Folks, as a reminder that American history from its start has been a constant push and pull, it's a battle that's never over. As my late friend John Lewis used to say, democracy is a state, not an act. Let's remember that in America, the power belongs to the people. And the way to show that power is by voting. That's right. We need everyone to vote. We need everyone to count. So let's reach out to family and friends and neighbors. Let's help them register to vote. And let's remind them, without voting, nothing is possible. With voting, everything's possible. Folks, let me close with this. When President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, he said the following: "This is a proud triumph. Yet those who founded our country knew that freedom would be secure only if each generation fought to renew and embrace its meaning." It's literal. I taught con law for 10 years in law school. I'd always say that. Every generation has an obligation to defend it. But I never, even though I was a sitting senator at the time, believed we'd get to this point. So let me say directly to the young lawyers in this room, it's time for you to renew and enlarge this meaning. It's time for you to lead the fight. It is. As you close the chapter on the National Bar's first 100 years and chart a course for the next century, it's not enough to honor the heroes that came before us. We need new heroes now. No, we do. We need you to follow in their footsteps. When I was elected, I have the dubious distinction of being elected the youngest senator in American history and the oldest president in American history. It's hell turning 40 twice. Look, some of your potential candidates for office. And when I got elected as the youngest person, I got elected before I could be sworn in. Everybody, and I beat a really very popular guy. Nixon won my state with 60% of the vote. I won by a rousing 3,200 votes. And they'd say, "What's your secret?" What was the secret? There always had to be some secret. And I always told them the same thing, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Same thing. You got to know what's worth losing an election over. What are you willing to stand for? What are you willing to fight for? So let me tell you what that means to all of you here tonight, those just starting out your careers, and those who've been fighting a good fight all your lives. It means take the client who can't write a big check but needs protecting the basic fundamental rights. It means sign on to that brief that may draw the ire of people in power, but you know it's the right thing to do. It means standing firm against unconstitutional actions designed to intimidate you. It means write the article, give the speech, lead the protest, defend the ideas that your country is founded on to protect our institutions, to fight for the soul of the nation. Summon the courage, like all those elders here before you did, the people in this room, to commit acts large and small, to bend the arc of the moral universe toward justice, as Dr. King would say. Needs a lot of bending, folks. There's been nothing in the course of our country's history that we haven't been able to accomplish when we stood together, we set our minds to it. We're the only nation in the world with a significant student of history that has come out of every crisis we've got into stronger than we went in. We have to remember who the hell we are. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We do it together. Well, God bless you all. And may God bless the United States of America. We've got a lot of work to do, folks. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, there you have it. Former President Joe Biden addressing the National Bar Association gala there, receiving an award as well from the association, touting his record in appointing judges to the federal judiciary. Let's keep listening. All right, it does look like they are having some trouble with the microphone. It looks like the presentation of the award is going to happen sometime soon here. All right, let's keep listening briefly.
By the power bestowed in me, enjoined by John Rogers Jr., I hereby confer upon you the C. Francis Stratford Award. Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. Proudly hang this in the presidential library as you walk in the door. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, so there you have it. Biden getting this award from the National Bar Association there. I believe he's also traveling with some of his grandchildren. You see him there exiting stage left. To applause, but during his speech, touting the fact that I think he did, at last tally, beat the first Trump administration in the number of federal judges that he appointed and got confirmed there to the federal bench, touting the diversity of the ranks of some of those federal judges there. So let's step away from this live there in Chicago. I'm Andrew Kraft as we approach the bottom of the next hour. What we want to do, though, is keep it going with more of these international topics. When we come back, we'll be bringing in expertise and analysis on where the war in Ukraine stands. Remember, it's been reported Steve Witkoff, Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, not only traveling today and tomorrow to Israel and Gaza, he's also from there going on to Russia. So we'll be previewing that. Also, we're going to get back to some of these political headlines as so many candidates are thinking about and making it real, jumping into some of these races for governor, for Senate, and the like. So stay tuned for that. A preview for 2026 coming up all in the next 30 minutes. We'll see you after this.